Alright folks, it's been a long week, you deserve it. Let's talk about Mr. Snuffleupagus! So Mr. Snuffleupagus is one of the few Muppets we can argue is a member of a known species of animal. The general body plan, the fur, the trunk, the posture, Mr. Snuffleupagus could very well be a mammoth. Now he's not exactly like the mammoths that we have reconstructed. He's got some differences. He's got no tusks, he's smaller, he's got these large sort of fat deposits in and around his legs. But we have a couple of possible explanations for that. One, Mr. Snuffleupagus is a juvenile. The other, he's a member of a subspecies, and let's talk about both of those. Now, being a juvenile mammoth does explain several of the features we see here. The larger eyes is common in younger mammals. The large fat deposits is pretty common in juvenile members of especially cold weather species. And the lack of large visible tusks, very common in younger animals of any kind that have tusks. First, you don't want to give birth to an animal with tusks. Also, those tend to grow in with sexual maturity. However, Mr. Snuffleupagus has been the same size for about 30 years. Now, that's a long time to stay in a juvenile state. So I'm going to argue that Mr. Snuffleupagus is probably from a different subspecies. And so if this is a full-grown member of the species, what do we see? Smaller than a normal mammoth and pretty fat and not very fast-moving. That tells me that Mr. Snuffleupagus and members of a subspecies might be the product of what is called insular dwarfism or island dwarfism. What sometimes happens is if a very large species, like an elephant, ends up in a small confined area, like an island, the selective pressures change and the things that benefit them for being very big go away, and the limited food resources tend to be more of a problem for them, which encourages smaller body size. Also, if they're in a small area and they have lots of food most of the time and don't need to travel very much, then their ability to go fast and far also tends to decline. See the wacky flightless birds of New Zealand as an example. And we have examples of this exact thing happening to actual elephants. There is a now extinct species of pygmy elephants in Malta and Sicily that were only like 2 to 3 feet tall. And so I propose to you that what we see here is a full-grown example of a Snuffleupagian pygmy mammoth.